So let me see what you're smoking. Right here, Astor Club. Beautiful, beautiful establishment that's been making its waves since 2020 around there, with celebrities coming up, but also catering to the community and bringing the fabulous, the most highest, best of the best cultivars from the best cultivators all over. I got here none other than Ben, co-founder of the Astor Club. And today we'll be talking about the Astor Club, the origins, his love for cannabis, but also we'll be speaking on the Love Compound Ranch, which Mr. Ramputin will be reviewing this cultivar, which I copped at the Astor Club. And cultivars like this can't find nowhere else, only at the Astor Club. So this is one of the reasons why we're doing what we're doing right now. You know, it's the highest club in the highest society for a reason. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna start off with is first and foremost, Ben, thank you so much for taking your time to being part of my show. And I want to talk to you. How's your first love of cannabis, bro? How did it start, bro?
First off, thank you. Thanks for coming here, letting me do this. Thanks for being part of the community since day one. Always supported before when other people wouldn't respond to messages, wouldn't call me. You were always there. You always came by and supported, so I always appreciate you. Um, I don't know. I always knew I was going to smoke weed. Before I even smoked weed, when I would smell it on the street, and I'd be like, I'm not sure what that is, but one day I'm going to do that. And I started smoking a little bit later than some other people. I was probably about 16 when I first smoked. And some people say they don't get high the first time. I got really, really high the first time and had an amazing time. And after that, it was just like became something that I was really curious about, really interested in, and pretty soon super passionate about. Like me and weed were just always meant for each other. You know, some people it's medicine or recreation or whatever, but it's just for me, it's like I always felt anxious a little before I smoked weed. I had this low grade anxiety, and then I smoked weed for the first time, and all of a sudden I was like, okay, I feel normal, relaxed. Um, so weed's always been a part of my life and something that I've always been passionate about. A lot of people worry, people who are really passionate about weed, that inevitably they worry, am I smoking too much? Am I spending too much time on weed? But for me, weed's always been the thing that's my best friends, my best friends for 20, 30 years are people I met through weed. Uh, you know, every great connection, every great business idea, weed's been everything and everything positive in my life. So it's just, the thing that I love, the thing that I'm passionate about.
You started as a teenager or as an adult?
I started smoking weed when I was 16.
Okay, teenager.
Yeah.
Okay, just like myself. So how did that translate into Astor Club?
So I spent a lot of time going to Amsterdam. Right away, I wanted, just like a bunch of us, we just want to smoke the best weed. That's it. That's the thing. Is like, this weed's great, but I saw a picture in High Times of some other weed that looks amazing. And so the mecca of weed at that time was Amsterdam. And somehow I would be able to get together a few $100 and take a plane and go to Amsterdam for a week or two. From basically the time I was like 16, 17. And so I used to spend summers there. I got weird jobs so I could get painting houses and shit there. But but I spent just, tons and tons of time in Amsterdam in the coffee shops, and it was just such a nice vibe, ideal for me. And that was always my dream, either open a coffee shop in Amsterdam or open a coffee shop in New York. And both of those seemed like impossible dreams. New York is never going to be legal here. You can't do it. Amsterdam costs millions of dollars. How are you ever going to do that? And then one day, I moved to another country. I lived overseas. I had real businesses, and I moved back to New York, and I saw Happy Monkey. Happy Monkey was doing it, and it was amazing. It was so amazing to have a place you could go inside and smoke weed. That's it, just a place you could be inside and smoke weed.
Especially in New York.
I'm saying in New York City, I couldn't believe it, and it was so. I spent so much time there. I told everybody I knew about it. We were always having meetings there for normal, and met so many people through there. And then they unfortunately closed, and it was like, where am I going to go? I can't stay at home all day. Like, it was a tragedy, like there was no place else to go. And I thought, fuck it. I'll just, I found a spot. I had some, stuff, and called up some of my friends and was like, come over, let's hang out. Let's just come and start hanging out. And it seemed insane to me that I was doing it. But I was like, let's just see what happens. I was old. I was fucking 40 years old when I started doing this. That's like, I sold a lot of weed in my life before this, but to be starting an illegal new business when you're 40 years old, take out that illegal part.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you do what you love, and you got inspired
Yeah,
by others, and you created it in your own way,
yeah.
which is important. And you did it your own style, and you brought something that probably Happy Monkey wasn't doing, that others, you did it your own way. You know what I'm saying?
I love those guys. They did it
Yo, they
great.
did their own thing. Yeah,
But my
they're
thing is,
pioneers on what they did.
definitely, and they're like amazing hospitality also. And weed for everything forever. But I'm such a fucking weeder. I mean, Ramon too, dude. Ramon got his inspiration from going to Amsterdam also. So I think a lot of us went to Amsterdam and were like, wow. And I'm such a weed nerd. I've been spending my whole life traveling around the world. I went to India looking for the best hash. I went to uh, Denmark to go to what's Christiana back in the day. I went to Thailand, Cambodia looking for weed, Laos. So my little, I think, different thing for me is that I'm just so passionate about finding the best, most unique weed, and that's what I've really, really focused on for Astor Club.
I mean, you guys are known for that. I mean, right now, smoking this. What is Rambutan?
I'm so
Rambutan.
proud of that they trusted us with that one. They're an amazing group of growers, two people. It's a couple, and they do everything themselves. They're also so passionate. They put their everything into it. And as far as I know, they've never, they've always just been really small, direct to people. And I think this is the first time they've ever trusted somebody else to have it and rep them. So, and it's a huge honor for me, and I respect their work so much. They're just put so much of their heart. They love the plant. That's it. I just want to work with good people who love the plant, and there's a lot of us out there who love the plant and are good people.
So the Rambutan is the papaya times guava 74.
From Harry Palms,
Okay,
Bloom Seeds.
there you go. The Love Compound Ranch. Where they're from. They're cultivating from.
I can't really talk too much about them because I just don't know enough about them to say accurately, and rather let them rep themselves. Can just say that they're like amazing people who are super passionate about the plant, totally biodynamic, organic, live in soil, and work day and night, put in as many hours as you can to only put out like a product that they're really proud of. Uh, One of them blows glass also, and so his glass art they convert into those stickers. So they have just beautiful stickers on all their jars it's all
Wow.
original art.
So that That's insane. That's beautiful. That's unique
Yeah.
in its own way, you know. And what I like about it, like we were talking before the interview, is they give you the information on how it's being grown. Like the flowering time is 65 days, grown indoor in an organic, no-till, electroculture, funga dominant, biodynamic, living soil at a 4,100 feet elevation. So all that information they're giving you, it's something that a lot of, it's more than a bag. You know what I mean?
And they know too that the people that are getting these jars, most people don't care about that, don't look at that, but the people that who are getting this are the heads that love that want to know that are passionate about it. And I think they know that's who's here at the Astor Club, and thank you for letting us rep you guys.
So how does it feel like to be like from a little club like that was holding some people here from the community, and all of a sudden celebrities start popping out,
Uh,
you know, and then you're getting known like in the community like heavy. So how did that, does that feel, and how did that happen, you know?
Honestly, it feels a little bit surreal. It feels very lucky and fortunate and blessed. And I'm not sure how that happened. My partner Matt definitely knew, was a little bit more plugged in with some celebrities and musicians. I'd been overseas. I was kind of out of the loop. I'd been doing normal for 3 years, so I helped organize, for legalization of cannabis before it was legal. So I had a community of people who were cannabis activists that supported me. Um, but the celebrities, the musicians, that was mostly Matt, and it's also just something that just luck and fortune. And you know what? There's a lot of musicians and actors who are serious potheads that are really
Yeah.
passionate about weed too, and that's what I'm talking about. Is that the thing that brings us all together is the
Mm-hmm.
plant, and that's what's so cool about places like this too, is that you'll have, you know, some super famous actor or musician sitting next to a retired teacher, sitting next to whatever, and it's like the thing that normally these people would never interact with each other.
Mm-hmm.
But because of weed, everybody's interacting, everybody's together, and that's it. It's the weed. It's Matt help knowing people, it's us being nice hosts, but really the main thing is it's got to be the weed.
And that's a beautiful thing because it stops the stigma that a lot of people have with cannabis. You know, as far as like, oh, you'll never be successful, this will never happen, you'll be slow. But look, like you said, celebrities here are just talking to regular other people, and they're all just what they're doing. They're all sharing what? Smoking cannabis, the plant.
Right.
And there's no problems, there's nothing going on, you know what I'm saying? And Astor Club is known for just keeping it chill. We're one
Yeah.
of the best parties in town when it comes to the flowers, you know. And I've been coming here for the past 3 years or so, and you guys got one of the fabulous parties. Talk
Thank
to
you.
me about Chem Kong. How that was like epic,
It's
bro.
just now it's a blip in history, but yeah.
Yeah, talk to me about Chem Kong.
I mean, Chem Dog's always been my favorite strain. I've always loved Chem Dog. I loved back then. I was only smoking Chem Dog D. That was like all I wanted to smoke all the time. And I was looking on Instagram at this grower in Maine who was growing this Chem Dog that looked so good. And I was like, man, I wonder if that's better than the Chem Dog that I'm getting here in the city. And then I saw a couple other people posting Chem Dog pictures, and I was like, fuck, I wish I could smoke that Chem too. And I was like, how can I get all these chems in one place so I can try them all? It
Yeah,
was really I just wanted to try all the best chems.
personal ambitions.
Yeah. And then it occurred to me, I was like, what if we had a chem competition? And there's probably other people that love chem too. And it'd be really cool for the growers who grow chem, who haven't seen each other, who are all around the country, to get together and show all their chem. And it sounded like in my head like such a fucking cool idea that I just couldn't help myself, went out and did it. And the guy who inspired me to do it from Maine was like, fuck you, I'm not coming to your event. I don't know why.
It happens,
It happens.
but the outcome was amazing,
It
bro.
was very cool. It unfortunately was during COVID. One of the outcomes was of one or two cases of COVID, but I didn't see that happening, and everybody's healthy and alive now, thank God. But it was also like, yeah, the first time in like 2 years, because it was like right at the end of COVID, that anybody had seen anybody had traveled, anybody had gotten together, and a lot of those guys hadn't seen each other in like 20 years. Um, and it was cool. There was some really fucking great chem. I think, some people were upset with the outcome. Somehow the GMO won. But like I tried to, I got like 8 of the best chem judges I could find. The guys, the original chem guys, the guys who have been smoking it forever, and that was what they came up with. So
It is what it
it
is,
is what
bro.
it is,
But
man.
you did something that wasn't being done, bro.
No,
You
there'd
know,
never been like, as far as I know, I don't know if there'd been a single strain contest before. There
as
probably
in New
has been.
York,
There
that I
probably
know
has
of.
been, but like that, I hadn't heard of it, and to me, that just seemed like a great idea. Doing like a competition, just one strain, everybody grow the same. I know they've done the clone thing before. They give everybody the same clone. They did where they give everybody the same seed. But I was like, man, we could do chem, we could do sour, we could do haze. And honestly, it burnt me out doing the event. Like, it was amazing. There's also a lot of haters out there, dude. And there were so many haters too that it burned me out. And I was like, I kind of lost a little bit of steam. And then somebody else went out and did the PIF one. Hats off to them. Cool. And then I think some people have tried to do skunk, which is obviously impossible because there is no skunk. And if there was, they don't even know who to ask. A lot of people want to do sour comp. You know, there's no way to win sour comp right now. There's like, because everybody's thinking about looking for something that doesn't exist. Um, but we'll do a sour meetup soon. We'll definitely do like everybody just bring your sour and let's all just everybody smoke each other's sour. But I can tell you 90% confidence the sour that we're all looking for, that we all smoked, and you smoked in the 2000s, I smoked it in the 90s. Some people are like talk about the sour from 2011, but whenever you had that loud sour, it's gone. The cuts are still here. We have the original same exact cut, the cut, not crossed with anything, not from seed, the original hand to God, original first sour cut sent to New York City is still alive and in New York City, still being grown the same way, not different lights, not different mediums, not different anything, still same nutrients, general hydroponics, and it's nothing like the sour that we smoked back then, even though it is the cut.
Why is that?
I think it's probably mutations. I think skunk is very prone to losing its terps. And there's a lot of skunk in the sour, because whereas the Chem 91 has still got some of that like chemi taste, and it's older than the sour, but because sour's got that skunk in it, I think that terp, just whatever it is, it's either it loses on its own or it has to be kept in such perfect conditions. Maybe there's one dude somewhere that's been keeping it in such perfect conditions all these years that it's still that sour. That's the only thing that could be out there that's still that sour.
Story was that from what I was hearing from when I was in the Heights was that they were doing it was a deep freeze type of hydro, like water hydro type of grow that they were doing sours, and that's why it was you had that really loud gassy smell. Like I don't remember no lime and no sour. I remember being gassy and skunk and herbal, like earthy. You know what I'm saying? I don't
Yeah.
remember it being limey after like the bike pushes and all that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, it's good to know you guys is running a sour
But
here
that's
too,
the
right?
thing. That's the thing too, though. That was so. What year was that for
Well,
you when you were smoking that sour?
'05.
So and so I was smoking in like '96. I thought I smoked it before '96, but I might have misremembered that. So, but I definitely smoked it in '96, and that was like not grown in water. Definitely not grown. It was like in Pro Mix basically. And that was when there was only maybe like 5 to 8 guys in the whole world that had the
That was
cut.
doing it. That's
Um,
deep shit.
but so that was crazy loud. And then I remember this, and we used to get haze from the heights, and I was always imagining in my head that it was being grown in that kind of a hydro setup in the heights. That's what we always heard
Because
about.
you was hearing stories like
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah. So
exactly.
those stories about the hydro run, like set up in the like,
Yeah.
I do think they were running some of those. I think a lot of the shit I was getting in the '90s was actually probably coming from Florida, but I didn't know that.
Hmm.
But I always was imagining these like crazy hydro setups in the heights.
Yeah, of course. I was gonna ask you, what are some of your favorite cultivars to smoke?
Like I said, Chem Dog, especially Chem Dog D. I love Chem Dog 91 too.
Hmm.
I love OG Kush. OG Kush is one of my favorites. OG Kush also has changed. It's not the same as it used to be, but I still love it. I love Skittles also. I just think that's such a unique, amazing terp that's like so different from anything else, and it still blows my mind. Um, I love sour. I still smoke sour, but none of it is the sour. There's no sour that's like gonna smell up the room anymore,
Nah.
ever. Like I could be, and I hope somebody proves me wrong. Please, please come here, bring me the loudest sour, and tell me I'm a fucking idiot. I would love that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's definitely hard to find it. You ever got into cultivation or anything like that?
Yep, I grew for about 10 years, and it was great. I loved it. Just for myself, it was but I was someplace where I couldn't buy weed at all, so the only weed I could smoke was what I would grow.
Okay.
And I smoked a lot of weed. So I had to grow, and I like good weed. So I had to grow a less, just for myself. I didn't sell it, but so I had at one point I had like 4 tents going at the same time. So I had clone room, and I had veg tent, and had 3,000 watt HPS lights. I did that for 10 years, so it was fun. I really
So
enjoyed it, and I learned a lot. Like that was it, missing a big missing piece from my cannabis knowledge too.
because it's different.
Yeah,
Like when you're actually like cultivating and then actually selling it. You know what I mean?
yeah, for
Two
sure.
different sides. So Ben, talk to me about the cultivation. Like you was telling me about that you was doing it for 10 years. And you was doing it because you had no choice because you wanted to smoke. And you want to smoke something good, and you had at that time that was the only thing that you had. So talk
Yeah,
to me
all I
about the
had was
experience.
for 5 years, all I smoked was the Thai brickweed, which was some of it was great. There was some stuff I got that smelled straight up like old school haze, piff, church, frankincense, and myrrh, and that was amazing. But then sometimes you get these bricks that would be like full of mold.
Hmm.
And I had these months and months of smoking this weed where I'd be pulling the mold out, and I was like, this is not good for me. And basically was like, I got to either stop smoking weed or I got to grow my own. So started figuring out how to grow my own, and spent a lot of time on the forums. That was the only way to learn how to grow back then. Especially in Thailand, there was no one to talk to. There was no stores. I had to order
So,
everything.
so you were in Thailand
Yeah. Oh
growing.
yeah, I should say this was in Thailand.
Okay, so you were in, okay. So this was when you was living in Thailand and you was growing.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that you was cultivating.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So this
I
when
wasn't in commercial cultivation. I'm not expert grower by any means, but it was like I smoke a ton of weed, and I needed to grow enough weed for me to smoke all the time, and weed that I wanted to smoke. And back then, there were such good seeds on the forums. This was like right when this was OG Rascal seeds just coming out to the internet. Cali Connection, every new drop they had. Uh, I can't even remember a bunch of others too.
but it's
Yeah,
good to know. It's the first time I hear it. That you was actually doing this. And for those that don't know, Ben was actually cultivating. You know what I'm saying?
that was the piece that was kind of like missing in my. I was really passionate about weed for a long time, but until I grew it, I didn't really understand it as much. Like being growing it, seeing it in all the different phases, seeing what things. I don't know. It just gives you obviously a much fuller understanding of weed and the weed world and what we're smoking. And it was great to smoke only stuff that I grew myself, that I knew exactly what it was and what it wasn't.
Hmm.
So, it was hard going back to buying when I moved back to America and I wasn't growing and I had to buy weed again. It was definitely, everyone knows that feeling when you're like been growing your own weed and then all of a sudden you got to pay crazy amounts for weed that you don't even might not like as much as the weed you were growing yourself.
Yeah, especially when you're coming from Thailand and you come back over to the States, how was that? The change, you know what I'm saying?
Um, no, it's a culture shock. It was a culture shock like anything, but I was always coming back to America a lot.
Okay.
So, um, I don't know. It was a nice change, to be
It's a
honest,
nice
for me.
change,
Yeah.
yeah. So right now I'm smoking the Marion Berry Pie from Love Compound Ranch, and it's a Gary Payton times strawberry guava. Again, flowering time 65 days, grown indoor, organic, no till. And again, like Love Compound, from the burn, from the stature of the burn, I already know that it's gonna be cooking. You know what I'm saying? Nugs, the smell, the strawberry guava is intense on this, but it has like a Gary Payton type of texture on the structure. Talk to me about Zalympix. How did that happen? East Coast Zalympix and the West Coast, because you're part of both of them, correct?
I think it was, we were hanging out with the guys who did the West Coast. I can't remember because I'm such a stoner. But I think we were hanging out with them. We were like, we need to, let's do an East Coast version of this, or they wanted to, I don't know. I think it was our idea originally. Might have been their idea. And then they were like, yeah, let's put somebody else, let's do it with somebody else too. And I've always done tons of stuff with buddies, and they knew buddies. And so we were like, yeah, let's all do this thing together. It's really hard to do an event in another city when you're not familiar with the city the way like locals are. There's like little details that are small but important, and they knew that, so they trusted us with producing the event on the East Coast, and it ended up being, it was at Terminal 5. Terminal 5 had never done an event like that before. I was going over there like every week explaining to them what it was going to be, how this was going to be something really good for them, and they finally trusted us. And now they're booked up for for every date already for events um, like that. But it was an amazing event. There was, I think, over 3,000 people line out the door. They had to close the doors at one point because it was at capacity. Uh, Amazing music, great vibes. Tenko again did a amazing. I think that was the first time they did that big build out, actually, right?
With the sushi backdrop and all that. That
Yep,
that was that was fire.
that was amazing. That completely changed the game. That everybody all of a sudden realized they had to level up a little bit. Um, so it was an amazing event. People were happy. Everybody left with a huge. Everybody just had huge grins on their faces, and we smoked the fuck out of that place.
Hell yeah, man. I mean, it was a beautiful event. Not only because it was the first time being done, but it was also showing the unity
Yeah,
between both coasts for the love of the plant.
dude. Even I don't. I'm so tired of East Coast West Coast stuff, dude. It's those growers on the West Coast are just there because that was the only legal place to grow. So everyone from around the whole world moved to California. But those people are from the East Coast, Midwest, and so a few more years as things are becoming legal, it's able to grow bigger grows, East Coast and everything. I really think the whole East Coast, West Coast thing is not going to be a point anymore. A lot of people who are having a hard time winning tend to talk about whatever side they're from. If they're having a hard time winning on the West Coast, like keep out these East Coasters. If they're having a hard time on the East Coast, they say keep out the West Coasters. But honestly, just let the fucking cream rise to the top. I don't care. They're from Alaska. They're from South America. It's from Spain. North Coast, West Coast, East Coast. Like just about the best weed and good people, man. Like who cares where the fuck you're from?
Yeah,
Sorry.
definitely. It doesn't matter. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter where you're from. It matters is what you're growing.
Yeah, it's just the location where it's being grown is interesting because of historically so many people have been growing West Coast the last 20 years. So it's interesting when people are managing to do really cool stuff underground, outlaw style. Like that's why we love that. But honestly, you know, East Coast, West. Yeah, it's not unity. That's what the plant does. That's what cannabis is always doing. Like, I'm not surprised at all. Like, look around here. We've got famous rappers sitting next to retired teachers, next to this guy, that guy, presidents of countries, sanitation workers, artists. We know this. This is why we do this. This is everybody we know, our friends, the people we care about, have all been people we've met through cannabis. I mean, I know that's true for me, and I'm guessing it's probably true for you and a bunch of people who are watching this.
I'm like, when I review, is West, East, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I'm focused on whatever I like.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And I show love to those West Coast dudes because they were one of the first ones to show love to me when a lot of the East Coast dudes didn't even know about me. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Me too. That's
And
true.
that's just keeping it 100. You know what
That's
I'm
true.
saying?
There was an East Coast guy I really wanted to get this strain from when I first opened, and I hit him up and I was like, "Please, can I get some of this?" And he was like, "Well, you can call this dude's delivery service and get an eighth. Wouldn't like give me the time of day." And then I went out to California, and there were people there that were like, didn't same thing, didn't know who the fuck we were, but I guess saw something or gave us a chance. But that's just random people. It could have been randomly the other way too. You know,
Yeah.
who knows? And like I said, I don't think it's really East Coast, West Coast. I don't like thinking about shit that way. I really feel like this is America, and not even America, the world. We're way more similar than we are different. Um, and the weed scene is like blending and merging. Everything's grown in one place, marketed in another. So I really don't even think about East Coast, West Coast. But it was an amazing thing that brought a ton of people together. That everybody loved the weed, no matter where they were from. It's amazing that New York, it's become a thing. 420 in New York, I think, is becoming a global thing. Um, People around the world are thinking about 420. I want to go to New York, which is very cool. Never saw that coming, you know. So New York is going to be, has always been the center of the world, and it's going to be center of the weed world soon enough too.
Talk to me about 420. Like, I've been to all the events you guys threw in 420 from the
Thank you, man.
beginning to
Thank
the
you.
to the last year's one. And bro, in one of them I was fasting because I'm Muslim, and one of them I was fasting. But in the last one I couldn't. I was just like, yo, I had to just do what I had to do because I'm sorry, Allah. But bro, I had to. It was so crazy. You had everybody coming out from all over the world just to enjoy that time
Yeah.
and place. And you guys just been doing it back to back years and uniting once again West Coast players, East
Mhm.
Coast players, or whatever, Midtown, Midwest, everywhere, all over the place, just to, enjoy the vibes in New York City and 420 and Washington Square Park. So, how did that happen, bro? Whose idea was that?
I don't know whose idea it was
But
exactly. It was mine.
okay,
It was
it's a
mine.
marketing thing.
It wasn't a marketing thing. I grew up Washington Square. When I was 12 years old, I used to go down to Washington Square Park. I wasn't even smoking weed yet, but me and my friend, my mom, would let me go out till midnight. I don't know why, crazy. We'd go down to Washington Square Park late at night, and everybody'd be smoking weed, playing music, hanging out, and that was just kind of like a cultural ex-hippie iconic spot. And then they had this thing called the Pop Parade, and the
Mm-hmm.
Pop Parade, while I was, my formative years in high school and stuff, the Pop Parade would go down Fifth Avenue and then go into Washington Square Park. This was in May, and this was during Giuliani years. So the city was like kind of chill for a little while before Giuliani, and then Giuliani becomes mayor, and all of a sudden they really give a fuck about people smoking weed. They've got people with binoculars looking for puffs of smoke, and they're running up on busting people for smoking weed. So it felt sketchy to smoke outside all of a sudden. But one day a year, everyone could smoke outside in Washington Square Park. The police were just like, maybe they make a few arrests, but basically it was too many people to deal with. So to me, that was like the coolest, freest place you could smoke weed in New York City was always Washington Square Park because it had that one day in May where everybody came together and smoked in Washington Square Park. Something happened. They lost the permits, and the pot parade moved to other locations that weren't essential or as cool. And it's still a great event, but it was just so special when I was in high school being in Washington Square Park. Um, Doja and some other people wanted to come to New York. They realized like things were changing in New York. New York's going to be a huge market, and they wanted to do something cool in New York. A lot of people in New York were smoking their weed, and we were planning on doing something in New York too. And they were like, "We want to do something, and then outside, big thing, free for everybody." And we were like, "Us too." And I was just like, "It's got to be in Washington Square Park." And everyone was like, "All right, cool." And we did in Washington Square Park that year, and then we did another thing again the next year in Washington Square Park. And I've always told people like, yeah, it's always been in Washington Square Park, but basically it was the pop parade that used to always be in Washington Square Park, and because that was a nostalgic spot for me. And definitely people have always been smoking and meeting, and I'm not saying people didn't smoke or meet in Washington Square Park before me, definitely not saying that. I'm just saying that I encouraged everybody who was thinking about coming and meeting in New York, hey, this would be a great spot.
But remember the movie Kids?
Of course, dude. I mean, yeah, I grew up with that movie. We knew those people. Like, yeah,
You
they
know
were
what I'm
always saying.
saying?
So that's what I'm saying. That's what Washington Square Park was like. That was like probably right in the beginning of Giuliani time when that came out. So that was like already moving. Yeah, that was in like the Giuliani time.
Yeah. So that right there shows
Washington
how
Square Park since the 60s, 70s, I'm telling you, like the pot parade, the they used to have Sky come out and sing a song about I love to smoke pot and I smoke it a lot.
it's been known for that.
Yeah, forever.
It's like one of the meccas when it comes to weed, when it comes to parks and shit. And
It was a hippie spot back in
yeah,
the 50s. It was in the 60s and 70s. Yeah. There used to be Jamaicans there that were always selling maybe real, maybe fake weed. Like if you could not
they
find
still
weed
there.
anywhere else, you would go there. I don't know. There was a period where it was definitely not so real. And
Like, but they still there, I
they're still
believe. They're
there.
still
Yeah.
there. Hell yeah, you'll find them. Like, shit, they came
Not
out on
Jamaican weed
420.
though.
Not Jamaican weed though.
Yeah.
Nah, not Jamaican.
Yeah.
Flatbush. Go
Yeah.
to Flatbush to find that. That's Jamaican.
That was like
Flatbush
the
to find
best at that before. There wasn't really even kind bud then. And like the best was like, yeah, we always got all our weed was all Jamaican weed. Lower East Side, we got everything. We had all our spots were mostly Jamaican spots.
that.
The brown Jamaican, that
You
was the
see
good
in the
shit.
Heights, you find a little bit of everything. You know what I'm
We used to
saying?
get
But
chocolate tie from Uptown in the body bags,
yeah,
the black bags like that. The tabla, which
Tabla.
we thought they were cooking crack underneath that. But I heard from the guy, he said it was his spot. He said actually that was the stuff in the middle of the pile when they were drying the weed. They'd have it like laying on top of each other, and the stuff in the middle would get kind of like weird and dark. And that was the. I don't know if
Interesting.
that's true or not.
Yeah, I've heard. I mean, Tabla is probably a little bit before my time, but I've heard about the Tabla. So
And I don't want to say who told me that, but if he wants to come out and talk about it, he
you
can come
should
out and talk
definitely.
about it. I'd love to give him credit. I just
Yeah,
yeah.
that's interesting. That's definitely interesting. Okay, so when it comes to like the selection to the menu, how is that done? The creation, like how you take part of that?
Just trying to find the best weed. Just like since I was 16, 15, like just always been looking for the best weed wherever it is. Like I used to go and travel the world just for like trying some weed in India or hash in India or wanting to go to Amsterdam for try strains or wherever around the California, Humboldt or any place. So I'm still like on the hunt. I'm
On the
just
hunt.
on the hunt. Like I
Yeah.
just want to find the best weed I possibly can and wherever it is.
I see your menu and you're giving a lot of opportunity also to a lot of New York cultivators. How do you
Of
feel
course.
about the New York? How you think about the New York flower, the cultivation?
Dude, when I started the club, the menu was 85, 90% local New York flower. And that was like at the time I thought the best flower in the world. I still think that flower was some of the best in the world. But people really, there were like nonstop people being like, I want purple, I want dense nugs, I want that Cali look. Um, so we started adding, a bunch of Cali stuff also. But New York's, listen, Sour Diesel's from New York City. New York City, we've been in a little bit of a funk maybe like the last 20 years, but traditionally I used to always say the best weed in the world was grown in New York City. So of course, like there were a couple of people that were East Coast growers that just started out a few years ago. When they first came over, it felt like it wasn't it. And then they did a few more runs, and like Fu, first time like Fu came over, I was like, I'm not sure, I don't know. Now he's got it so dialed in, so amazing, he's so good. Um, so, you know, in the beginning they were like, thank you so much for giving us a chance, but now it's like, thank you so much for saving some flower for me, because it's amazing work.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
In matters of, you know, probably years, like a year or so, you know what I'm saying? Dialed in,
Yeah.
they've been on the money.
Yeah.
Chosen few.
Yeah, no,
But
there's a lot of people that come in with stuff that I think is not great, and they're like, oh, you don't want to support the East Coast and give me $5,000 a pound for, you know, the shitty weed.
you
And
gotta
it's
keep it
like,
real.
I'm sorry, dude. Yeah, some growers are very delusional. There's a lot of people that I would never walk in any place saying my shit's the best, because I haven't tried every single thing out there. How do you know that there's not one thing out there that's better than yours that you haven't seen? It's impossible to know. So to me, it's crazy to walk in anywhere and say my stuff's the best. It's a very like, it's inviting someone to be like, fuck you, this sucks. But it does happen. There's people that I meet that come in and I'm like, yes, this is the best. And so that then we're really fortunate.
Talk to me about expansion. Astor Club, LA.
We've spent a lot of time out in California, and there's just like no place to hang out. I feel like there. I'm always like, where are we gonna go? Where can we meet people? And there was never really a place. So we got a spot. We got some partners. It's just like really a place to hang out. Right now, we're just doing private events. Um, Not trying to compete with any licensed places there. It's really just like a private place for us and our friends and you guys, the people that are used to here. Just that when we're out there, we can have a place to for the community, and we can help, like, you know, have a spot for when us or our friends want to have an event there or get together.
Which is cool because you guys already over there. I seen you guys were in the PuffCon. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? You guys were part of PuffCon. You guys done events already over there with a lot of lot of the guys that are doing the scene over there. You know?
yeah, it made sense.
Yeah,
It kind of made, and it was, you know, like I said, I was out there so much. I need a place for me. Just I need it, and I know if I need it, other people need it too. So a few more weeks, we should have be open, and uh, looking forward to having the same, you know, not the same look vibe, but the same vibe.
it's almost like the same story how this one started. You
Yeah,
know, that you was looking for a spot to just chill with your peoples, and you know
exactly.
what I'm saying.
That's it. This whole journey has really been um, just me doing and Matt doing what, you know, just what we want to do, what we like doing, what we care about. Um, Not a lot of a master plan.
Freely too.
Yeah,
Yeah, doing whatever you guys want and
yeah.
putting curating it at your
Sharing
way.
good
You know,
vibes, people we like, good people.
which is one of the most expensive flowers in your menu.
What's one of the most expensive on the menu?
Yeah. For those that don't know, you know what I'm saying? For those
I
that
mean, the
don't
most
know.
expensive we've ever had was the cash tree,
Okay.
for sure.
The cash street. Okay. And
I've got some trade wind stuff now that is so good, it's basically priceless. I don't even want to sell it.
taking you back.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, the cash tree is the most expensive stuff. You know, there's a lot of crazy price stuff out there that's not not as good as the number. Cash tree is very unique, genuinely very unique.
So that's worth trying.
It's a recession now too,
Yeah.
man. You know, like people just don't have as much money as they did, and I'm trying to, you know, growers' prices aren't going down either. Growers' prices are going up. So, but we're just trying to make things work for everyone.
As you should.
Yeah,
The Marion berry pie.
fire, so fire. These guys,
Delightful.
amazing.
Very tasty. It starts off with the strawberry guava sweetness, and then it translates to the Gary Payton to finishes with
Like
that dope.
Gary's such an interesting mix
Oh
sometimes.
yeah,
Half the time it comes out okay, but when it comes out great, that Gary comes out so good with the cross.
yeah. As a cross, it's been. I mean, as a As an individual cultivar, it did its thing.
Yeah,
But as a cross, it's been doing
yeah.
a few, few strings like this one, like the Marion Berry, like this shit right here has has the appeal, has the nose, has the palate. I'm cotton mouth right now, creative, talking, listening, feeling active.
All their strains, the flavor coats your mouth.
Oh
It
yeah,
really, like, 5 minutes after you stop smoking it, you still taste it.
and it burns clean.
Yeah.
It was smooth. It was soothing. I coughed like a few times, but that's it. It wasn't crazy.
A lot of time, I feel like the organic weed doesn't even burn as well as the non-organic. So, like, I'm kind of sometimes some organic. I'm like, is it? But this stuff is so nice, so
Yeah,
clean.
they're exclusive. Like
They're kind of up there with the cash tree level, I would say. Like the amount of like work they put in, the detail, the care, smallness of their batches.
limited, super
Yeah,
limited, and then the quality, the work.
their soil is very unique. The way they're growing is very unique. I don't quite 100% even understand it, but it's different.
It is different. With all the things that are going on in New York, what do you think about the legalization, the legal system? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, obviously they haven't gotten it right yet. If they got it right, then everything would be legal, and there wouldn't be a million stores that are not legal. At the end of the day, I'm just happy people are not going to jail for weed. We've got to keep that as like our baseline. We cannot let. I'm a little bit worried about people getting licenses and then feeling that all of a sudden these people who weren't licensed before were black market, gray market. Now they get a license and they have all these neighbors next to them who don't have a license. And it looks like the people who don't have the license are selling better, have better weed, don't have to pay taxes, while the licensed guy has all these rules and restrictions. And I don't want them to use the system where they start having the licensed people turning against and trying to get the unlicensed people busted. Like we're still all one community, no matter what, no matter how bad it is. Cannot go to rat out other people on the authorities. No matter what, we cannot let anybody go to jail for cannabis, no matter what it is. Unless they're putting fentanyl in there, which I don't believe. But like, I can't think of a single cannabis crime where people should go to jail for. So they've got to get the system right where everybody can sell in a way that's convenient for them. Customers can buy a product they want and that's convenient for them, and nobody's doing anything technically illegal. And that's where the system has to get to that point, not people having to get to the system's point. And it will happen. It just takes time of like they're going to get tired of busting people and making all these rules, and they'll have to change the rules to make sense. And it might take a year, it might take 10 years, it might take 20 years.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's all lottery to me. Like, it's always been like a lottery. I mean, the more tickets you buy into it, the better it gets in for you. The more connections, the more money you have. That's how we. I mean, I've been to these dispensaries. They're beautiful,
Yeah,
very
they are
nice,
beautiful.
but some of the work is not it.
They're not allowed to grow good weed in New York State. They're literally not allowed to grow good weed in New York State, I think. Right? They can't grow. I'm not saying you can't grow good greenhouse or outdoor weed.
Because you look at California, for instance.
On the other hand, we're not growing a lot of oranges or orchids in New York. Like, it's an apple state. Like, there's certain crops that are good for you. I'm not a farmer or agriculturist, but I think, I don't know, it seems like New York gets cold in winter. It's probably not the ideal place to be growing weed outdoors all year round.
You have the time. You got to measure it.
So the system's been fucked. It's unfortunate for everybody, except for the big corporate guys who are lost millions of dollars. To them, go fuck yourself. I don't care. But for most of the people who are just regular people, it's fucked. They're in a super crunch right now, and I hope they can get through it, and I hope they do well. I hope everybody does well. Um, Everybody gets a chance at this.
Do you guys feel like venturing like Europe? Because seen you
Yeah, I would
guys.
love to do that. I would love it. I mean, that would be a real cool thing for sure.
What the future looks like for Astor Club. What are some short-term goals, that you're looking forward to doing? At least one that you could talk about.
Just finding, getting better weed and meeting new growers and having, you know, just keep on doing what we're doing. More good vibes, more good people.
The Marion Berry pie from Love Compound Ranch. It's fire, phenomenal. Sorry, sorry. You know what I'm saying? It's all love. Um, Love Compound Ranch. You guys got a thing going. I would love to see you guys here in New York.
Yeah.
Heel is fire. Nose is fire. High is fire. Something worth to try, you know, and it's something unique.
Yep.
It's something that you
Really
won't
unique.
find. You know what I'm saying? You could
No.
tell by the cleanliness and the lingering of the savors, you know, of the cultivar that it's some clean shit, and people pay attention, and these
And it's not
people
just
take
that.
care of them. I mean, they put their all into
That's
this.
it too. That's what I mean. That's what I think too. Like they put so much love and heart and soul into their grow. Um, it's hard to express that. I've seen where they've tried to express it to me, and it's like, you know, something that's almost like beyond words. But they genuinely love it and put every part of their heart and soul into the growing, and I think that makes it really special. And we're trying to figure out what makes it so special, and maybe that's it.
Yeah, nah, definitely it is. I mean, you could definitely see the work that they put into it. Shout out to the Love Compound Rocks. Follow them on IG. Yo, Ben, any last shout out you want to give to the people?
No, I want to thank Love Compound Ranch also for giving us the opportunity to rep them, and everybody who comes to the Astor Club. To you, thank you so much since day one, supporting us for before anybody knew who we were, before anybody would even talk to us. You've always given us love and support, so I really appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the hospitality always, and for what you've done for the community.
Of course.
Because what you've done for the community has been a big impact. You know what I'm saying? Believe it or not, a lot of people that don't see it, is because they don't know the culture. These guys, Astor Club, they brought the culture here to New York, and they united a lot of people together, and that's
Thank
the
you, man.
most important thing.
That means a
Why?
lot.
Because of the love of the cultivar, you know, love of the plant of cannabis. You know what I'm saying? Ben, thank you so much, my
Thank you,
brother.
dude.
You already
Appreciate
know.
it. Of course.
Blessing, love.
Thank you, guys. Thank
Let
you
me
to the
see what
community too. I really appreciate everybody who supported us.
let me see what you're smoking. Ben from Astor Club. It's a beautiful episode, beautiful moment. Long time coming. Thank you for the opportunity, my brother. You already know Love Compound. Find them. You already know. And peace. Let me see what you're smoking. You ready?